Hello and welcome to our next stage of our journey through Othello. We're into Act 4, Scene 2. There we are. So let's press on. Went a bit too fast then. Anyway, so all the annotations just then magically appeared. Anyway, that was what I was going to talk about. I was going to say if there's a theme of this scene, I think the word interrogation would be your one word summary of the whole thing. The scene opens with Othello effectively interrogating Amelia, not interrogating in the point a light into her face kind of way. I suppose a production could do it like that if they wanted to, but he's effectively just grilling her about Desdemona's, well, imagined, in his case, imagined infidelity. So you have something strange going on again. Anyway, you have here asking, you've seen nothing then. This actually connects to the whole ocular proof idea of Othello needing to see things earlier. Remember, he needed to see evidence of Desdemona's infidelity. And it's got to the point where he's been manipulated by Iago to perceive evidence that's incredibly circumstantial, very flimsy evidence. But Shakespeare opens the scene with that. It connects back to the idea of witnessing things. But then also this connects to the theme of perceptions of reality or false perceptions of reality. No one ever heard, nor did ever suspect, or not ever did suspect. Amelia is telling the truth. She's honest. She's saying, no, I've not seen Cassio and Desdemona actually do anything. So never whispering, like signs of intimacy there, or fetch her fan, her gloves, her mask, nor nothing. So it's all intimate kind of things as well. That's strange. This is Othello not believing. He's not taking Amelia at face value. He's doubting her words because it's another form of prejudice in the play. It's like at the start where we said for Brabantio accusing Othello of witchcraft and not having any evidence, like Iago not having any evidence of Othello sleeping with Amelia. When someone's prejudiced, they don't need evidence for anything. Iago has been reprogramming Othello. Othello is now prejudiced without any evidence. He thinks Desdemona has been sleeping with Cassio. He hasn't got any evidence. He's told by Amelia, who's very close to Desdemona, who would be in a position to know. I suppose you could argue, yeah, well, if she did know, she would lie for a friend, maybe. That's a possibility. But the evidence Othello's been given is very flimsy. He's asking an independent witness here, not seen anything, and he's just in complete denial of this information that he's receiving from her. So, Amelia, I durst, my lord, to wager she is honest, and that if any wretch have put this in your head, let heaven requite it with serpent's curse. So, there's dramatic irony here. Is Amelia actually she's the closest to really working out what Iago's been up to. We've got dramatic irony. It's implying that actually Amelia is spot on, actually, isn't there? There's someone has been putting these ideas in her head. She hasn't quite got to the stage of realising it's her own husband. Then we have Othello deny this reality. She says enough, yet she's a simple bawd that cannot say as much. This is a subtle whore, he's talking about Desdemona, a closet lock and key of villainous secrets, and yet she'll kneel and pray. So he completely ignores this information to accept the reality as created by Iago. And obviously don't forget to mention Shakespeare when you're writing about these. Keep mentioning Shakespeare. Keep remembering he's creating these characters and situations and these deliberate trusts. So Desdemona enters. I highlighted that just because it makes me laugh because it kind of imagines, like, I always think of like Wallace and Gromit when I think of play you chuck, but I think it means really like it's a term of endearment associated with animals, but she's been linked to being like a guinea hen before, which is actually was a colloquialism for a prostitute as well. So I think Shakespeare's probably making a subtle connection there, and definitely not a Wallace and Gromit reference. That's certain. Anyway, let me see your eyes. That's again links to the theme of perception. look in my face. So the commands coming from Othello here. He's interrogating Desdemona now. What horrible fancy is this? As in, what you're imagining. Amelia is still here at the moment. So some of your function just leave Procreates alone and shut the door. Cough or cry hem if anybody come. Your mystery, your mystery. So you've got to get Amelia out of the room so he can grill Desdemona further. Well, I say grill. He doesn't really ask her any real information. He just really just accuses her of. He actually just calls her a whore all the time. So that's what he doesn't actually specify anything. But this is because he's been reprogrammed to think completely emotionally and irrationally. Why, what art thou? Your wife, my lord, your true and loyal wife. Come swear it down thyself, lest being one of heaven, the devils themselves should fear to seize thee, therefore be double damned. Swear thou art honest. This conversation actually could have gone differently if Othello had actually been more direct. Desdemona would be able to refute it easier, but she's on the receiving end of these unfounded accusations here. Heaven truly knows that thou art false as hell. So these are very strong accusations, particularly in Shakespeare's time as well, if you think about the religious context for the audience. To whom, my lord? With whom? How am I false? She asked him directly, but he actually doesn't say. He doesn't say, "Oh, you're having it off with Cassio, aren't you?" He doesn't even say that. So again, it's just purely irrational, emotional. Jump 2 pages then. Response from Othello. No, I didn't. Why the motive of these tears, my lord? So there's Desdemona thinking that it's because he's been called back to Venice and he's upset and crying, and this has created the emotional change. Then we have some natural references here as well. And then this I thought was interesting because it actually connects back to when Othello imagines himself as a toad in Act 3, Scene 3. Remember when he thinks about when Othello thinks about Desdemona being used by other men, he thinks of himself as a toad. It connects back to this. Keep it as a system for foul toads to not engender it. And so it's deliberately disgusting imagery, isn't it? If you imagine like a cistern, like a big kind of bowl full of disgusting toads. So I hope my noble lord esteems me honest. And of course, this is quite a motive really, because she would want to hope that he sees it honest, because that's going to avoid tragedy. Alas, what ignorant sin have I committed? He doesn't actually specify. Look, so was this fair paper, this most goodly book, made to write whore upon? What committed? So he uses the strongest accusations, the strongest derogatory terms, and also impudent strumpet as well. So again, this is all drawing on language of prostitution, basically. And are you not a strumpet? No, as I am a Christian. If to preserve this vessel for my lord from any other foul unlawful touch be not to be a strumpet, I am none. So this is again, it's good for talking about Shakespeare presenting perceptions of reality, and you've got Desdemona's perception of reality and the truth, and Othello's perception of reality and what he thinks is the truth. And actually as well, I think there's a theme in the play of there's a lack of communication as well between the both of them. If they, and it's not really Desdemona's fault in this scene, but I think a more open communication would avert disaster, and I think that's another theme of the play. There is misunderstandings and misinterpretations and assumptions and accusations and prejudices and things that aren't actually based on reality. And it's a good lesson for us all in life, thinking about just question what we're told sometimes. Look at reality carefully. Labelled here as the cunning whore of Venice. So this is a very detached way of talking about his wife. I took you for that cunning whore of Venice that married with Othello. It becomes third person. It's Othello is becoming so detached from reality. He's talking about himself as if he's an observer. And in fact, you could even link it to the idea like meta-theatrical ideas about it's a kind of reference to the play itself in some ways, isn't it? Like events that happened in the play earlier on. Then you, mistress, so he's accusing Amelia here of being like an evil version of St. Peter, and contextually, St. Peter in Christianity has the keys to heaven, and he's saying, Amelia, you have the keys to hell because she's associated with Desdemona and her infidelity. And then he gives her this money because I pray you turn the key and keep our counsel. He's doing that as a performative thing where he's paying her as if she's a brothel keeper looking after Desdemona. And he said, oh, I know, I've had my use of her, here's the money. Alas, what does this gentleman conceive? How do you, madam? How do you, my good lady? So Amelia's as confused as anybody else. Then, why with thy lord, madam? Who is thy lord? So there's actually as well here, identity is another theme where people are being perceived differently. So Desdemona now is confused that she doesn't really recognise her husband. His behaviour is so different. As an act of potential reconciliation, or just maybe just to remind Othello of what he used to be like, tonight lay on my bed my wedding sheets. So put the wedding sheets on a bed. And I think that's just to remind Othello of their relationship. 'Tis meet I should be used so very meet. How have I behaved that he might stick the smallest opinion of my least misuse? So confusion here, dramatic irony. We can't tell Desdemona, can we? We can't tell her what's going on. We know everything that's been going on. We know how Iago's been manipulating Othello. And she's confused. But even within this scene itself, Othello has not articulated what his actual problem is beyond just accusing her of being a whore. That's all he says. Then, moving forward, we have the bad guy himself, Iago, appearing. And, of course, the villain himself is here, Iago. Amelia summarises what's been happening. He's been abusing her, accusing her of these terrible things. And actually, we've got that there as well. A beggar in his drink could not have laid such terms upon his callet. So the language that Othello's been using to address his wife has been worse than even like the worst kind of drunk. Then we have some interesting stuff going on. There's dramatic irony. How comes this trick upon him? Iago feigning ignorance here. It's another good one for the theme of Iago, isn't it? With the public and the private face. The honest Iago that he pretends to be. He is the source of all of this wickedness and all of these accusations. But look at Amelia here. Amelia is really onto something. I will be hanged if some eternal villain, some busy and insinuating rogue, some cozening slave to get some office have not devised this slander. Amelia has got it absolutely spot on. Interesting as well that it's an eternal villain, someone who's been a villain for all eternity, and that really actually reinforces the idea of Iago as being like the devil, effectively. So she's absolutely spot on with this. But look, there is no such man. It is impossible. In performance, it might vary. Iago might be so good at hiding his true persona that the actor playing Iago delivers that line very naturally. It could be delivered in terms of Iago might look more slightly worried about maybe Amelia's onto him. And again, in performance as well, Amelia, the actor playing Amelia, may also as well deliver it in a more kind of knowing way as well. But all of that is for interpretation. If any such be, heaven pardon him, a halter pardon him, and hell gnaw his bones. So Desdemona, because she is more kind of pure and innocent, she wishes the more kind of Christian idea of complete forgiveness on him. Heaven pardon him, a halter pardon him, and hell gnaw his bones. Amelia is far less kind to whoever this villain is, and ironically, it is her own husband. Then Why should he call her her? Who keeps her company? What place? What time? What form? What likelihood? Who is this person who's meant to be with her all the time? The moor's abused by some most villainous knave, some base notorious knave, some scurvy fellow. So you have epistrophe there, actually, don't you? Look at that. So the idea, she is ironically completely onto her husband here, and put in every, she may be delivered as she suspects him. That's another thing. And put in every honest hand a whip to lash the rascals naked through the world, even from the east to west. So these kind of people need to be punished. Iago asks Emilia effectively to use an indoor voice, presumably because he's worried about his plans unravelling. Oh, fie upon them. Some such squire he has that turned your wit the seamy side without and made you suspect me with them all. So there's more dramatic irony here of saying that. So even maybe if it's just subconsciously Emilia is putting the jigsaw puzzle pieces together and she's saying someone made you think that I'd slept with them more as well. You are a fool, go to. All Iago can do is just utter a pejorative, an insult to get rid of her. His skill has abandoned him there, I think. In the case of that, he just basically just wants her to shut up, get out of the way and shut up, because there's a real chance here she's getting closer and closer to the truth and everything's going to unravel. But anyway, he wants her to shut up. So, good friend, go to him. So, unfortunately, there's more dramatic irony because she's putting her faith in Iago. That is, yeah, bad. Anyway, then all things shall be well. Iago offers this as one of his little platitudes. And, of course, he is working completely in the contrary to this. So they leave. We get Rodrigo come back. We haven't seen him for a while, have we? Hello, Rodrigo. Anyway, talking of people being onto things, Rodrigo is actually onto things. Despite being a bit of an upper-class twit of the year, he is actually realising that all of this money he's been spending has been disappearing. But anyway, I do not find that thou dealst justly with me. What in the contrary? So nothing's happening. His idea of getting with Desdemona is absolutely floundering. And actually, in terms of what we've seen in the narrative of the play, Iago's been concentrating on working on Othello, isn't he? The whole Rodrigo thing. Rodrigo's been less useful to Iago since getting Cassio demoted. So Rodrigo hasn't really been useful to Iago that much. But now, proverbially, the chickens are coming home to roost here, because Rodrigo is thinking, well, when am I going to get what I've paid for, basically? I have heard too much, and your words and performances are no kin together. So Rodrigo thinking of, well, what you say and what you do don't match. You charge me most unjustly. With naught but truth, I have wasted myself out of my means, so he's running out of money. The jewels you have had for me to deliver to Desdemona would half have corrupted a votaress. So he means here that he's given over so much money that it would persuade a nun to sleep with him, effectively, is what he means, a votaress. So it is taken like vows to God. So it's hyperbole. So I like that bit. Then we have, you've told me she has received them, return me expectations and comforts of sudden respect and acquaintance, but I find none. So Iago has been reporting back to Rodrigo, oh, no, she really loved those necklaces, those jewels and things. Yeah, she's quite keen to meet up with you. He's been stringing him along. He's been stringing Rodrigo along. Well, go to. Very well, go to. I cannot go to, man. Not is very well. So Rodrigo is here. He, like Emilia, actually even more so. Rodrigo is further along because Rodrigo has been involved in Iago's duplicity. So the constructed reality of Iago is starting to fall apart for Rodrigo here sooner, if you see what I mean. Then, very well. And so Iago here is just repeating. We've got Shakespeare having Iago repeat these phrases. He's not really, doesn't look like he's doing much, but through this repetition, he's repeating the same things. Again, it's one of these mind tricks where he's just trying to reassert a reality. Rodrigo denies it. I tell you, 'tis not very well. I will make myself known to Desdemona. If she will return me my jewels, I will give over my suit and repent my unlawful solicitation. If not, assure yourself I will seek satisfaction of you. So Rodrigo actually delivers an ultimatum here. He said, well, I'm going to go and tell Desdemona and ask for my jewels back, because this is the sort of way that these kind of things would work. If out of honour, a woman would have to return the gifts that were used as part of the romance procedure, if that's the right word to describe it. Romance procedure sounds a bit strange to say, but anyway. So he says, well, seek satisfaction of you. He's going to confront Iago about it, and it implies a fight, actually, doesn't it, as well? Iago's had time to recalibrate. Give me thy hand, Rodrigo. Thou hast taken against me a most just exception, but yet I protest I have dealt most directly in thy affair. Shakespeare set this scene up, so you've had Othello accusing, you've had, as I said it about, you can talk about accusations, can't you, really, as a theme for this scene. Othello's been falsely accusing Desdemona. Now you've got Rodrigo coming in and accusing Iago of something, but in this case Iago has actually done it. So Shakespeare's got a deliberate juxtaposition in this scene. He's structured it deliberately like that. Then Iago, there's some flattery. This is one of his standard techniques. I mean, purpose, courage and valour. He said, oh, you seem like a tougher guy than you used to be. You seem braver confronting me like this. And then, if thou the next night following enjoy not Desdemona, take me from this world with treachery and devise engines for my life. You say that you kill me if tomorrow night you're not enjoying Desdemona. And it's always that very creepy verb choice that Iago uses when he's talking about Desdemona and how Rodrigo's going to spend time with her. Then Iago could have reprogramming reality. So Iago is creating a new reality where, in fact, Othello's been ordered to go back to Venice, but Iago actually says he's going into Mauritania, I think, to create a sense of urgency for Rodrigo, to actually do, he's getting a sense of panic here. It's going to be easy to manipulate him. But it's Iago reordering reality. Then he also says Cassio's going to be put in charge instead. And then he can't do that job if we knock out his brains. So the implication there is, I not really just knocking him out, but taking him out, killing him, really, knocking out his brains. He sups the night with a harlotry, and thither I will go to him. So he's going to go to Cassio, and he's thinking about Bianca there as well. And then the idea, I will hear further reason for this, and you shall be satisfied. So again, it's Iago lying to Rodrigo, and again creating that false reality. So that is the end of that very accusatory scene. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, other videos, all that good stuff. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day or night, whatever you are doing. Goodbye.